Under Operation and Automation, you will find the Trigger Management area where you can create triggers for your enterprise SIM cards. Under Trigger Management, you can create different rules or triggers related to device change, network change, or data usage. As an example, we will show you how to create a trigger rule for a device change which will deactivate a subscription if the detected EMI is changed, which means that the SIM was placed in another device. Select Create New, then choose if you want the trigger to be set for the complete enterprise with all its SIM cards, or for a specific subscription package with all its SIM cards in this package. You can preview the subscription package information by clicking on its ID, which will open in a new tab. This will help you make an easier choice in case your enterprise has multiple subscription packages. On the next page, there are 3 predefined categories that you select from depending on your particular use case. You can also choose to create a custom rule list. Any rule or trigger can be added within a category, therefore you are free to select any category that matches your intended use. For example, I would choose fraud prevention as a category, and I will set a trigger rule for device change on the next page. Then you have the option to choose between if the device is changed or if the device is not the assigned EMI. The assigned EMI to the SIM number should be preset under Subscription Inventory. Then choose what should happen to the IMSI if the trigger is activated. You can select between the following actions: deactivate, pause, terminate, change subscription package, or only send a notification. Please note that the pause functionality is not available for Starter Kit or Essential users. When choosing to change SIM state, be aware that you will need to manually reactivate the SIM later on. You can also choose more actions in case you would like to both pause and send notification after a trigger is activated. Or if you want to change subscription package and then pause and thereafter send notification. Don't forget to input which email address should receive these notifications. Your enterprise portal users are not the automatic recipients of the alert notifications. The emails can be set different for every trigger group. Then follow the steps to give the trigger a name, then complete and save. Let's show another trigger. There is a possibility to set a trigger with rules if a network is or is not a specific country or network, to get a notification or change state. I will also show you how to set a data usage trigger. Follow the same steps as earlier, but in rules, choose data usage. Here you can choose between different network options where the data usage should activate the trigger based on the SIM-specific location. This trigger feature takes into account the location of your device while monitoring the data usage. An example is when you want to prevent bill shocks by controlling the data usage of your devices roaming outside of Telia's Nordic and Baltic networks. The trigger can be set for different network groups: in all networks, in the home network, which covers Telia's own networks in the Nordics and Baltics, when roaming, which is when your SIM is located outside of Telia's Nordic and Baltic networks, in the custom group, which is Europe, that we define as Zone A1, outside of the custom group, which means outside of Europe, or when not home or custom group network. You also have the possibility to choose short-term or long-term triggers. Data triggers rely on incoming call detail records, or CDRs in short.
A CDR contains information about the data session. A single data session can be composed of one or more CDRs, depending on the length of the session and the amount of data used. Long-term data triggers can measure data usage in the following time periods: in 1 week, from the beginning of the month, or in an unlimited period. Long-term triggers are activated after receiving the CDRs. CDR-based rules use partial data session records. As a result of these partial updates, long-term triggers can execute actions during the data session and even interrupt the data session by deactivating the subscription. This occurs every 6 hours, or when the data traffic exceeds 100 megabytes, or when the subscription performs a radio access technology change, for example, moves from 2G to LTE, or when the subscription performs a location update. Short-term data triggers can measure data usage in the following time periods: in 1 hour or in 24 hours. Short-term triggers are generated after receiving XDRs. XDR-based rules use signaling events from entire data sessions. Triggers react in less than 1 second after receiving data. These triggers can be used to monitor subscriptions that exceed the expected traffic volume during short periods of time. Examples of use cases are finding faulty devices or stolen SIM cards. The actions of a data usage rule are triggered only once in a specific period. When a new period starts, the data usage quantity is reset to 0, and the trigger is ready to fire again in the new period. Be aware that delays in CDR processing can affect the timing of data triggers. The duration for generating CDRs and sending them to the Telia IoT service portal can significantly impact time-critical rules, so please keep this in mind when designing your automation rules.
In the next step, you can set up the data usage volume per subscription. If you would like to get your SIM deactivated and receive a notification when the SIM used more than 1 GB data from the beginning of the month when roaming outside of Telia's own networks in the Nordics and Baltics, follow these steps. Select when roaming in the network group drop-down menu. Set 1 GB and from the beginning of the month. Then deactivate subscription. Then send notification to and define the emails which shall receive the trigger notifications. Remember that if you choose to change subscription package and if you have pool, set for the subscription packages, the pool size will not be generated until the next month, and the IMSI will be using the already existing pool in the new subscription package if there were SIMs there previously. The last rule is scheduled actions, where you have the possibility to trigger an action. If the subscription has been in a subscription package for a certain amount of time, or after a certain amount of time from when the SIM was provisioned, or on a specific date. I will choose to get a notification 90 days after the SIMs under my enterprise have been provisioned. We also offer the feature that provides the possibility to configure a scheduled action trigger for a single subscription. In the next step, mark that IMSI and click on Actions, Schedule Trigger. Choose the date and time for when you want to trigger an action. To monitor which SIM cards have activated triggers, you can go under Inbox and Trigger Actions. Here you can see the actions of the last 24 hours versus the same period last week. Press on Trigger Actions to view the history and get an overview about how many different actions you have under your triggers. You will see the timestamp and the trigger type for the activated trigger of this IMSI. And you can choose to tick the box and press on Actions and View in Subscription Inventory if you would like to do changes to this IMSI. For example, set a filter to show me all IMSIs that got deactivated by a trigger, and then mark them all and go to Subscription Inventory to reactivate these.